I caught my ex-wife with my childhood friend. This was posted in another community. But after discovering Reddit a few days ago, I decided to publish my experience on another forum since I listened to all of the advice and truly loved chatting to everyone. This is going to be a very long article. For obvious reasons, I shall not disclose anyone's name. I'm returning home after a psychologically draining 7-month ordeal. I wish I could tell you what I did, but I can't. What I can tell is that those 7 months were riddled with nightmares, horrible mental disorders, and the most heartbreaking sadness I thought I'd ever experience. What I can say is that after such a heinous event, we were mentally defeated by remorse. My colleague, whom I regarded to be my brother, pulled out his firearm and shot himself directly in front of me. After I urged him not die, he replied that he had no family, nothing to return to, and that living with this guilt would kill him. He wanted to put an end to the agony right then and there. I begged him not to, telling him that he was my brother, that I was his family, but it wasn't enough. His brains are in my face. My ears are ringing, and others are pouring in. My thoughts became blank. I was unable to sleep or eat. My kids called me on Skype, and I let it ring while looking at the screen but thinking about my brother. I spent a lot of time talking to a professional. I was told to go home. Before I begin, I was taught that military women are the most dangerous snakes. They take you for granted and never let you take your gaze away from them. So I simply followed their advice and set out to prove everyone incorrect. I didn't mention when I'd arrive, but I had big vacation plans to compensate. I was warned not to tell her when I'd be returning home. I've been married to my wife for 5 years. 4 are coupled, 1 is married. A pair of twins, 2 girls, both under the age of 2 at the time I'm driven home. I see my vehicle, my lovely house, but what matters most is embracing my family after 7 months apart. When I walk in, there is no one there. There was no one in the pool when I checked. As I approach my room, I hear groaning. As I get closer, I see that my door is closed. That's my wife whining. The door is locked, but I have a door that scans mine or my wife's fingerprints. When I opened the door, I saw my wife bent over, and the other gentleman was none other than my closest buddy, the wedding's best man. I grew up with this person. I met him when I was 6, and he was 5. Since the 1st grade. This was my younger brother. My thoughts became blank. The following is what I heard: he's going to die because you're going to kill him. Stop. Play. My wife pushed against my back, hanging on to me, weeping and terrified. All I felt was a rush of adrenaline. My heart was racing like I just ran a marathon, and my hands were shaking. I didn't realize where I was until I glanced down. What I saw was a nude lady cringing and apologizing to me, and a naked male oozing blood profusely. I start weeping since I almost murdered my sibling. I didn't intend to harm him. When I inquired whether I had injured her, she answered no. I begin to out on her. Do you have any idea what I had to go through? All of those people. All this battle? And for what reason? To return home and see you with him. Nightmares, depression, hate, and paranoia for 7 months? I'm wrecking stuff while yelling at her. I punched the wall and drilled roughly 15 holes for my bed, frames, dresser, television, and door. I flipped over the bed. I pretty much wrecked the room. Neighbors phoned the police. Cops discovered me sitting in a corner, blanked out. Both were picked up by EMTs and sent to the hospital. They sewed my hands. As for him, he had a fractured nose, broken arm, dislocated shoulder, and other injuries. I was deafeningly there was no rage, despair, remorse, or anything else. My wife was on her knees, pleading for pardon. I was thinking of my brother when I looked at her. I can't believe I couldn't rescue him from himself. What kind of failure am I? My karma was to return home to this lady. My children's footsteps were immediately audible to me. Daddy! They yelled as soon as they spotted me. They get onto the bed and begin to cuddle me. I immediately burst into tears. I took them in my hands and asked her if they were mine. They did not resemble me from the minute they were born. I laughed it off since I've always felt I didn't look like my father, yet I still got his strange black nipple on my left breast and lighter nipple on my right chest, as well as green eyes. The females had nothing. Green eyes, but my mother-in-law has green eyes as well. I inquired whether they were mine. Tears begin to flow from both of us. She cries, of course they are. According to cops, he intends to seek charges. I'm similar to what about filing charges? Well, I'll tell you what, it's all his and her fault. The officers were completely unaware. I informed them about my background and job. I informed them that I had been gone for over 8 months. Let us refer to the backstabber as. I told them that I'd known since 1st grade and that he'd been my best man at my wedding. This is why I don't trust any lady, the police agreed. My wife sobbed as she walked out of the room, looking down. The officers informed me that they were releasing me. That they have no idea what I'm going through. They referred to me as a hero, thanked me for my service, and wished me well. I'm not a hero, I'm just a guy who enlisted for the money and perks and couldn't rescue his buddy. That does not strike me as heroic. I return home, and my wife expresses an interest in accompanying me so that we may discuss this. I urged her to watch out for her boyfriend. She begins to weep once again. I left the children with her since I had a lot of tears to cry on my way home. It was all a haze till I got home. I awoke on the sofa, close to her dozing on the rough floor. I lift her up and place her on the sofa. We had our DNA checked 2 weeks later, and all 3 of us completed a lie detector exam. Everything was disclosed at this point. My world was shattered into a million pieces. I was absolutely devoted to her. I adored this lady so much that it's difficult to convey, since whatever I say will be an understatement. She has cheated on me from the day we met. I never observed any indications. She just cheated but she still cheated. She's been taking advantage of my earnings. I have a piece of paper that said I'm not the father of my 2 small planets. That father was a jerk. Not only that, but she's pregnant once again. He was enraged by what I had done to him and spilled the beans. His words had activate your eyes. You've been the one earning money. You've been caring for my children while I sit back and play video games. She's been unfaithful from the beginning. Remember when we went to see The Incredible Hulk at the movies? That was in 2008. Do you recall how irritated and upset she was with you for no apparent reason? You weren't touching her, much alone talking to her or gazing at her, weren't you? That was all a ruse to get her home. She had no intention of returning home. Instead, she arrived to my residence. Remember all the presents she gave you and tricked you into thinking they were purchased out of love? Okay, it was to let your defenses down and make it easier for her to cheat. You are not my brother, you are the caretaker for my children and my source of income. You purchased me a vehicle, a house, helped me pay for my college education, and have been caring for my children. Guess what, you're going to keep doing the same thing. You were gone for a moment, but I went to your home to be with her. Wife yelled at him, shut the up. I was completely deafeningly deafened as my shattered world was unveiled. She asked whether she was in love with both of them, and she responded yes. She is speaking the truth, according to the lie detector. That simply made matters worse. Wife was grabbing me and shouting up and down that it was a lie, relating to what said to me. I burst out weeping and told her you and the girls were the nicest thing to happen to me. I took care of everything for us. I purchased us a house, and we did so much other. We studied together, worked together, graduated together, and even started a family together. Seeing your grin was my daily aim because I love your laugh, enjoy embracing you, and simply waking up next to you was a pleasure I can't express. And now I've got a piece of paper saying those females were never mine? Another piece of paper informing me I was nothing more than a toy? She had a blank expression on her face, with nothing but tears streaming down her cheeks like a torrent. For the record, you never had a family with her. I did. You were only looking after my family for me. How can someone who has referred to me as his brother for so long be so cold to me? I have no idea. That day, I couldn't sleep. I left the house to go for a stroll. I walked for more than 13 hours. I left my phone at home, so there were no interruptions. I was discovered sobbing on a park seat. I know a guy isn't meant to weep, yet I can't eat, sleep, or stop crying. All I did was vomit and cry. I couldn't look at the females the same way again. Divorce papers were filed. She returned to New York with her parents. Was unemployed and had lost his house. His automobile was registered in my name, as was his house. Everything belonged to me. I earned 6 figures, and someone who doesn't even have a job ruined my life. I never helped anybody else again, much alone trusted anyone. I'm looking for expert assistance. I'm not going to wind up like my brother, who ended his own life when circumstances became tough. I'm a warrior who never gives up. My ex-wife sent me some derogatory SMS. A photo of them two kissing the twins, as well as a film of them two, revealed some heinous things to me. She advised me that now that I had nothing, I should commit myself since I would be alone. That she was aware I wasn't the father, but what can a person like do for the kids? That I abandoned the twins and I wasn't the role model or father figure I thought I was, therefore I shouldn't have walked out on them like that. Doc warned me not to be a fool, that it isn't her who is sending me these things, but rather him. I think it's her. It's her phone number. I left the girls because I was afraid of what I was capable of. When I awoke one morning, there was a rifle next to me. I videotaped myself, and what I saw terrified me to death. I'd stand there for a long time. I was doing nothing but standing next to my bed like a zombie. Then I'd go back to sleep after retrieving my pistol from my finger-scanning safe. Every weekend, I pay a visit to my brother's grave. This was years ago. Now, I'm a pilot with his own real estate firm who is unable to have a family because I reject every lady I meet. I will never again put my confidence in anybody. But that's just my opinion right now. I'm sure I'll have my own family one day. I'm still young, barely 33 years old. Those girls are now 9 years old, and I think about them on a daily basis. If they come to me when they're 18 years old, you can bet I'll welcome them with open arms. If you're wondering what they're doing right now, my sibling informed me he works at Best Buy. She became a nurse because she aspired to be a doctor one day. Congratulations to her. I, 37 male, told cheating ex-wife, 37 female, no when she asked for a better co-parenting relationship for our daughter, 15 female. We have not spoken to each other in 6 years. My ex-wife, 37 female, cheated on me, 37 male, 6 years ago, and I caught her in a 4-month affair with a married guy. We have a 15-year-old daughter and co-parent only via my sisters or over email. I discovered out when AP's wife emailed me all of the photos and movies they shot while cheating on us on his phone. Some of the deal breakers for me were that she performed in facials with AP but flatly refused to do them with me, stating that they were repulsive and went against her morals as a woman. Her body, her rules, she actually said. I had given her the opportunity to come clean before presenting her with the proof I had. However, she lied to me. Even swore on the life of our daughter. I told her that if you had any sense of integrity or respect for me, you would tell me the truth right now. She was certain that I was insane and making outrageous charges based on no evidence. As a result, I provide the facts. When presented with the proof, she sobbed and looked me in the eyes, saying, "She's a piece of," knowing her treachery was beyond insulting and, eventually, something I would never forgive. I warned her that she should not contact me in the future unless it was for her own health, safety, or the life or death of our daughter. We divorced shortly after that. Now fast ahead 6 years. My daughter invited me to a supper she was preparing for a baking/cooking competition last month. Of course, I agreed, but the catch was that her mother/my ex-wife would also be present. She understands why we split and agrees to my NC with her mother. I haven't seen or talked to my ex-wife in about 6 years. Some of my former in-laws and ex-wife attended the dinner, as did my sisters and myself. My daughter's dinner was amazing, and everything went off without a hitch. 1 week after the meal, I got a phone call from my ex-wife, which I clearly answered since I was concerned for our kid. Nothing was wrong with our kid, but ex-wife wanted to honestly repent for her previous behavior and the harm she caused to our family. She said that our daughter almost had a nervous breakdown because she was afraid of her asking me to be in the same room with her, and that our present relationship is unhealthy. She wanted to know whether there was any possibility to cohabit in a healthy manner with our daughter in the future. I didn't cut her off and let her complete what she was saying. When she had through speaking, I said no and hung up the phone. My sister informed me that my ex-wife is sincerely humiliated and guilty for severing the family and just wants a good atmosphere for our kid. Sister advises me to move on and consider our daughter's mental health. I reminded my sister that if I am miserable, what value do I have in my daughter's life? I'm not satisfied with my ex-wife. So, Reddit, I'm looking for unbiased advice on whether I should forgive my ex-wife and go on to develop a stronger co-parenting relationship with my wife for the benefit of my kid. Thank you to everyone who has written to me or left comments with their thoughts. Now for the latest news. Yesterday, I chatted with my 15 female daughter, and what she said was eye-opening. She informed me that she knows I love her and would do anything for her, so she doesn't want to take advantage of my love for her by forcing me to do things I wouldn't usually do. She claims her mother suffers from sadness at times and constantly reminds her that your father will never stop hating her, making it difficult for everyone else to avoid criticizing her for her past as well. Because she has so few acquaintances, my ex-wife seems to be airing her problems with our kid. Context: because we all grew up together, my ex-wife lost the bulk of our childhood buddies. None of the husbands want their wives hanging out with her since she used girls' night as a pretext to spend out with AP, and some of the wives consciously or unintentionally covered for her. There was a lot of uproar as a result of this. It is widely assumed that some of the other spouses were also cheating, although no more evidence has been uncovered. Since my split with the ex, the other women have practically kicked her out of the group in order to keep their marriages. Daughter also told me that she misses our family being together if she's being honest, but she knows how much I and her mother love her. She then inquired about forgiveness, and then about unforgiveness, things for which individuals cannot be forgiven. That is essentially a benchmark you must establish for yourself, I informed her. It stems from the morals and ideals you have inside yourself. I stated that it is possible to despise the behavior but not the person. And there are instances when you can't separate the behavior from the person. Examples include Hitler, Osama bin Laden, and Joffrey Baratheon from Game of Thrones. She despises him with a vengeance. I said that her mother is someone whose deeds I cannot disassociate myself from. As I previously said, this does not imply that she is a poor mother, rather, it indicates that she is someone with whom I cannot detach myself. As a consequence, my connection with her will never be the same. I then reminded her that just because someone apologizes does not indicate that everything is well. Unfortunately, some acts have repercussions, and in her mother's case, those consequences are part of who she is as a person. Daughter then asked whether I had ever forgiven someone who had previously injured me, and I responded yes. I've forgiven many individuals. Forgiveness is a very valuable trait to possess as a person. Finally, we had a really excellent chat last night and agreed that both myself and her mother would always be there for her when major life events occur. I'm going to speak to my ex-wife about her statements to our kid shortly. Story 2. My wife, 36 female, cheated once and I, 36M, want a divorce but I don't know whether I truly should to leave or not. I'll try to make my article as brief as possible, but I feel the need to be comprehensive, so please read it well before offering suggestions. My wife and I married when we were 22 years old, after graduating college, and we had 2 kids, ages 13 and 12. Throughout our 14-year marriage, 16-year relationship, we have had a wonderful connection and we both adore one another. To be perfectly honest, I may have ignored her in February and March owing to work and other obligations. During this time, she had a one-night stand with one of her colleagues around a month ago and instantly regretted it. I'm also positive she only slept with him once since I've heard it from others and seen additional proof that suggests she's speaking the truth. When she informed me about it the following day, I felt like I'd been hit in the belly. That, or someone had physically torn my heart out. I gazed at her in great disbelief at first, but then continued to pound her with every single unutterable abuse. I never imagined myself saying such things to her, and I honestly don't recall half of what I said. She sobbed and apologized many times. Before you ask, her apologies seemed quite genuine to me, and she was clearly regretful for her conduct. That was evident in her eyes and behaviors since then. I informed her a week after her confession that I was going to file for divorce, after this whole quarantine thing is finished. She sobbed but said nothing and went to the restroom. She has pleaded for my forgiveness but has said that she understands if I am unable to do so. She also said that she is prepared to go to any length to make our marriage work and repair the damage she has caused. Furthermore, she said that if I decide to go with the divorce, she would renounce any unjust payout she receives from the divorce settlement since she does not deserve it. Her opinion is that we should divide our fortune properly so that I am not placed in a poor condition as a result of the divorce settlement. This would happen as I am in a much better situation financially than her. Despite the fact that I am persuaded she is sincere in her guilt and wants to repair our marriage, I feel compelled to proceed with the divorce. My parents and her parents have both spoken to me, and although they both condemn her conduct, they both want us to sort things out. Aside from this idiotic episode, I've never been one to heed to advise, and my life has worked out rather well for me. My wife has been sleeping on the sofa for the past 3 to 4 weeks, and I don't speak to her much other than to chat about the girls or our future. My communication is nearly non-existent, despite the fact that she has been trying for weeks. I still haven't forgiven her, and I'm having difficulty forgiving her. It's not so much a matter of trust, though it has been seriously harmed, as it is that I can't get over the act of betrayal itself. Even after a few weeks of learning, I am still torn with my feelings and no closer to a solution than I was before. I've been thinking about my next move for about a month and still have no clue what to do. It is evident to me that she is sincerely sorry for her conduct, and this was completely out of character for her. She has subsequently put in a lot more effort into our relationship, despite the fact that she knows it may be for nothing since I haven't repaid that level of effort in the previous several weeks. I simply don't believe I'll be able to get over the act of treachery, and then there's my kids, who will be badly damaged if I go through with the divorce. I have to admit that there are moments when I feel like going through with the divorce simply to stick it to her, even though I know she would be heartbroken if I did. I know it seems harsh and terrible. But it is exactly the kind of rage and contempt I feel against her. She has said that, although she is prepared to go to any length to salvage the marriage, she will eventually accept my choice. I honestly don't know what to do since on one side of the problem, I see my wife's wrath, bitterness, and betrayal after 14 years of marriage. On the other side, I see my children, the love we've had over the last 16 years, this being utterly out of character, and my wife really regretful while doing everything she can to repair what she's damaged. So I'm turning to Reddit to find out something I haven't been able to figure out in weeks.